Hi, I'm Tina Sleeper. I'm with the Water Use It Wisely and the City of Tempe. And I'm here with Warren Gorowitz from Ewing Irrigation, Landscape and Supply. Did I butcher that?
Pretty close. Ewing Irrigation and Landscape Supply. It's a mouthful.
And we're really happy that you're here, an expert in irrigation, an expert about how to be sustainable outdoors, all sorts of technology that you can use. We're going to ask you tons of questions and kind of pick your brain.
Okay, I'm ready.
But I want to tell you where we are. We are actually at the home of the Tempe Drab to Fab Backyard Rehab winner. And if you were with us last week, you'll notice it's a big difference. So we're going to ask my camera people here to kind of pan around and take a look. It has been transformed in this yard from basically dirt to this beautiful concrete border that's going to serve as a border between the landscape desert plants and the small amount of functional turf that we're going to have. Real life photosynthesizing grass is actually going to be part of this xeriscape, and it's going to be right here. Show you guys here. This space right here, a beautiful amount of grass that a dog or kids can really tumble around in and have fun in, but it's actually less than 20% of this whole yard. So it's looking really cool. The sheet is still up there because they're still going to be bringing some machinery through those walls, but hopefully by the next time or the next couple times that we're here, we're going to see all of that be a lot more finished looking as well.
How about what you're standing on?
Oh, yeah, and right here. This wasn't here exactly. This is just so beautiful, and we've been told only to step in the center because it's actually so fresh that the concrete is still wet. It's just looking beautiful. And we actually have the mason working right behind us. Real life here. He's doing an amazing job. And if you want to look at some of the designs, just to jog your memory, this is what it's going to look like. Really, in a few years, when all the plants are more established, but you're going to see in just a few weeks when we come back, it's going to be a baby version of this. It's going to look so beautiful. So that's where we're at. We are a couple days away from the irrigation lines being installed, so it's just an awesome time to kind of talk about when you're installing a new landscape, the things to think about. Even if you have an existing landscape with an old irrigation system, what are things that you can do to become a lot more efficient? Save water, save time, have your plants look more beautiful. So if you have questions that apply to your own landscape, please feel free to ask. We have Warren here, and so whatever questions you have, we have people monitoring. They'll let us know the questions, and then we'll do our best to answer between the two of us.
Sounds good.
Awesome. So efficiency, why is that important in the landscape when it comes to design and in a new landscape? What does that mean?
So we live in the desert. It's no secret. In fact, it's a little warm today, in case you can't tell by all the sun on us. And efficiency is really about using the appropriate amount of water for the landscape and not wasting any water. That's probably the biggest important thing that you have to always consider with efficiency. And the efficiency starts with the irrigation equipment. It also starts with and continues with how you irrigate and how you schedule your irrigation as well.
That's beautiful. So what are the opportunities when you have a big project like this one where we're actually going to be putting in all new technology, all new systems? What are the opportunities we have at this point to become as efficient as possible?
Okay, well, we kind of started, we'll work our way from the beginning of the system all the way to the end in a sense. So first and foremost is when you're installing an irrigation system, it's always important to have a master valve. And the master valve actually looks like any traditional irrigation valve, but it goes before all your other valves, and that'll prevent you from wasting water. Let's say one of the irrigation valves happens to stick on at night. That way this will close before everything else does. So that's going to help you make sure you're not wasting any water.
Nice.
When we're working with drip irrigation from an efficiency standpoint, it's really important to have a pressure regulator and a Y filter or Y strainer. And that's important because when you use drip irrigation, it uses lower amounts of pressure. Otherwise, you're going to have your emitters blowing off your tubing. So if you have had that problem where your emitters are actually coming off of your irrigation tubing, it might mean that your pressure is too high. So it's always important to make sure, if you check your pressure regulator, make sure it's working. But since we're talking about drip, the other thing that's really important is the Y filter. And the thing about what the Y filter does is it prevents your drip tubing from clogging. Here's a tip. make sure that you actually clean out your Y filter every once in a while, periodically, because material will get clogged in it. And it's so easy to do. I can unscrew it here. We're going to do it live. And here's the filter. Whoops, here's the filter, and you can actually just take it out and clean it. Wash it underwater and put it back inside. And,
nice.
How
often should we be doing this?
You know, you probably want to do it at least every couple months, depending on what your water quality is like. Okay. And so then from the filtration after your valves, then of course you also have your drip irrigation, and depending on the type of drip irrigation you're going to have, whether you're going to have drip irrigation line that has emitters built into it, or whether you're going to have actual emitters. And I have props in my pocket here, and these might be a little hard to see.
We'll get close.
But you have different kinds of emitters, and you want to make sure you use the ones that are pressure compensating. So that way, they're all going to use the same amount of pressure, and you're not going to have any issues with having too much or too little pressure. And they are color coded. You might notice there's different colors, and the different colors determine how many gallons per hour they actually put out.
Awesome. So what's this blue one?
Gallons per hour is a blue. Nice. Black is 1 gallon per hour.
And then there's the red, right?
Red is 2 gallons per hour. And green as well.
Actually, you're reminding me, our first Drab to Fab backyard rehab winner, Lisa, over at Avondale. You were in the video for her.
I was in the video.
So we actually did these like formal videos with all this editing and cutting, and all these pictures are in there. And there's a picture of Warren holding the 3 different colors. So if you want to learn more in depth about some of these topics, feel free to check out our Drab to Fab Backyard Rehab video series. It's at wateruseitwisely.com.
Excellent.
And so, yeah.
And then from there, if you're going to have, so we have a turf area on the project here, and so you want to use your water as efficiently as possible for that. And so for that, you're going to have usually spray heads and spray head bodies, which people probably would recognize. You see them usually, they're buried in the ground. But instead of using traditional spray head nozzles, and again, I'm going for my props here, you have products like this that actually are multi-stream rotating stream spray nozzles. That's a mouthful.
I can put this closer, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of see it.
There's a lot of different products on the market that are made by the variety of irrigation manufacturers.
Cool.
And the benefits of this is rather than putting out a big spray of water that most of the time goes in the air and especially gets carried away with the wind, these actually put out little streams of water, and they actually move around. They're actually kind of fun to watch.
And they're thicker. Like when you actually watch it,
so in action. Because of the streams are thicker, that means the water's going to end up on the ground and not in the air.
Where you want it. It's not a misting system.
It's not a misting system. No, you want the water to get to the plants. So we've talked about kind of from the valves to the emission devices, and then last but certainly not least is the irrigation controller. And so from an efficiency standpoint, you want to consider using a smart irrigation controller. So when we say smart, what does that mean? Well, it means that it's going to, based on how once it's set up and programmed properly, because you still need someone to do that the right way, it's going to make adjustments based on the weather. Why is that important? Last week here, it was in the 60s?
60s, yeah.
It feels like it's 80
at the
right
highest.
now. I don't know. Maybe it's in the 70s.
Right now, 73, but it feels hotter.
Well, your landscape needs are going to change based on how the weather changes. Unless you're really good about going out and changing your irrigation controller every time the weather changes, if you're not, that's where a smart controller comes into play. Installing a rain sensor is also really important because we do get rain here from time to time, and the irrigation system doesn't need to be running when you have had significant amount of rainfall. Soil moisture sensors as well. So there's all kinds of components that tie in. And then the last part of a smart irrigation system, for you, those of you who enjoy technology, and I don't have my phone with me, is you can actually run your irrigation system, a lot of them from your phone, which actually at this project, the homeowner is going to be able to run his irrigation system from his smartphone.
Yeah, we can take a look actually on the inside of the Wi-Fi.
Right, a lot of them will hook up, most of them hook up through your
Wi-Fi. What's the formal term for that? The Wi-Fi adapter or Wi-Fi connector?
It's a Wi-Fi connector. Depending on the model, some of them have an adapter that you add in automatically.
Let's take a look. It's actually kind of cool. So
this one has a Wi-Fi adapter.
It's right there.
It's plugged into it, and once it gets set up on the Wi-Fi, it'll actually blink green.
So you don't have to come outside.
Yeah, why bother doing it from the side?
If it's raining and you don't have a rain sensor yet, and it's your goal to add one, you can turn it off right there.
Makes it easy.
Yeah.
Makes it really easy.
What about flow sensors? I've heard a lot.
Yes.
More movement in that area.
More and more irrigation controllers are able to work with flow sensors. So what's a flow sensor? Well, you can't manage what you don't measure. And so a flow sensor is really helpful because it'll actually, keep track of how much water you're using just for your landscape.
Nice.
Because everybody has a water meter at their house, which is tracking the water usage for their entire property. But if you want to know how much water you're using just for your landscape, a flow sensor can do that. But more importantly, let's just say you're out of town and a couple of your drip emitters blow apart and the system's running, and all of a sudden you got water shooting in the air, or a nozzle comes off one of your spray head bodies, it's going to actually shut the valve off and go on to the next valve. And depending on the controller, some of them will send you an email, text message, notifying you that you have a high flow use alert. So you're not going to waste water. That's the most important thing, and that's what water efficiency is all about.
Yes, it is. We want to make sure that the water you're paying for, and most importantly, that comes from nature, when you're applying it in your landscape, it's actually going where it needs to go so your plants can use it.
Yep.
What if some of our viewers now or later, they have an existing system, they want to get more efficient? Where do they start?
Where do they start? Well, I would suggest hire a professional and look for someone, if you're here in Arizona, from the Arizona Landscape Contractors Association. That's a great place to start. Can you do it yourself? We get asked a lot of time, well, can I do this myself? You can do it yourself, but it's also having somebody that does this for a living every day. They know all the tricks and trades. They know all the secrets. They know all the traps and the things that you need to know about to make sure that you put in your system properly and that it's actually running properly. Because that's the thing about an irrigation system that we tend to forget about. You don't just put it in and not touch it.
It needs maintenance. It needs care.
It's like your car. It's like your body. You need to give it maintenance.
Well, even a smart controller.
Even a smart controller.
It's not really smart by itself. It needs
a little bit of help.
It needs a smart person who knows.
For a smart controller. Exactly.
Well, what if, let's say we look at the Arizona Landscape Contractors Association list. We're like, okay, this person is licensed and bonded. There are so many types of landscape professionals. How do you know how to hire one that really knows the irrigation? Because I've taken some classes, from a lay perspective, and it's a lot more complicated than it looks.
It is a lot more complicated.
Balancing pressure, the design, making sure it's all uniform and the spacing works out. How do you make sure that the person that you're hiring has that experience?
You can look for certifications from organizations like Arizona Landscape Contractors Association. They have the Sustainable Landscape Manager program. Oh, we have a question.
Oh, we have a question.
Let me finish mine.
So exciting.
And you can also look for people that are certified from the Irrigation Association as well.
Right.
So
they have a lot of good training.
There are people that actually go out and take the classes and are required to get continuing education units. And that's a good place to start.
So when you're hiring someone, be like, hey, let me look at your transcript. I want to see what you
know.
know.
Your resume, in a sense.
That's a good way. What's the question?
We have a viewer named Rob who is asking, how often does your irrigation system need maintenance?
Oh, good question.
How often does it need maintenance? Very good question. Well, so the question is, thank you, from Rob. Hi, Rob. Thanks for watching. How often does your irrigation system need maintenance? I would say that you want to check it. Really, monthly, you need to just be kind of inspecting it, and then the more detailed maintenance, like the pressure regulator, the Y filter, things we talked about earlier, I would check that at least quarterly. If your irrigation controller is old enough and it still has a battery in it, well, we don't change time here. See, when I used to live in Southern California, we always talk about change your battery anytime you change the time. But as the seasons change, you want to make sure that the battery, if you have a controller that still has a battery, is actually still working, because if the power happens to go out, you don't want to lose your irrigation controller. Most of the new controllers actually have the batteries, backup stuff already built into them, and you don't have to use it and actually change the battery.
Nice.
Any thoughts from your perspective on irrigation maintenance?
Well, if you follow the City of Tempe Facebook site, what we will do is a couple times a year when it's really nice, we'll send some reminders. We're going to say, like, this is a perfect time. We actually have a month that's called, Sprinkler Spruce Up. Good times of the year to go out and actually look at your system, look at the couple things that need help, and just make sure that it's good. I know quarterly that's ideal. But for a residential perspective, if you go out there and put it as part of your home maintenance schedule at least twice a year, you're gonna be pretty good. You won't catch every single thing right after it happens, but your system is gonna be fairly healthy.
Great, excellent.
Yeah. Oh, we have a question about leaks. All right. Oh, yes. So we actually have Fix a Leak Week coming up in March. So that's another thing. If you're following us on Facebook, either Water Use It Wisely or City of Tempe, or the other Water Use It Wisely members, we're going to have great reminders, a great guide about how to check for leaks as well. Fix a Leak Week is March 19th through the 25th. We have an awesome guide called the Smart Home Water Guide. You can get to it, smarthomewaterguide.org. And at that place, it's going to walk you through how to detect for leaks in your home. And there's a whole section on the outdoor outdoor places that might leak, where you can find some leaks as well.
And then
So,
in the
yeah.
spirit of that, when you get
Great
into the
comment.
summertime, we've got July is Smart Irrigation Month, and that's another great time to take a look at your irrigation system, make sure that everything's functioning properly. So,
And surprisingly, the water demand of your plants actually falls slightly in July, more so in August, even though it feels miserable to us. Our plants love the humidity, and they actually lose a little less water. So we have a guide here. I'm sure that Warren is used to talking about.
That's a great guide.
Landscape Watering by the Numbers is a Water Use It Wisely guide that is created to help residential homeowners figure out exactly how much to get water to provide to your landscape. So let's say you have an efficient system, you have a good controller, you still got to know how much water your plants need and how to best get that water to your plants. And this is what that guide helps to do.
Excellent. Good suggestion.
So for those of you who just joined us, we're actually at the home of Paul, our latest winner of the Drab to Fab Backyard Rehab Contest. There were over 11,500 entries, and Paul was the lucky winner. He entered last minute, the last day of the contest, and we in Tempe, as Water Use It Wisely members, we were ecstatic that this beautiful conversion from kind of a drab wall-to-wall grass landscape is going to be turned into a xeriscape, a beautiful water-wise landscape that's going to emphasize plants that just do well in this climate, do well in this soil, but at the same time reaching the goals of the homeowner. He wants a dog after he retires. So there is a functional amount of grass here, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, and it can be a part of a beautiful, lush xeriscape. So we're really excited to be here. If you want to follow more of our progress, we're going to slowly but surely get to a beautiful completed landscape in the next 2 videos. Our next videos is going to be plants, for those of you who are fans of plants. And please come back and ask your questions. You're going to meet Cheryl from the Arizona Nursery Association. We're going to be able to ask her some questions as well. And then we're talking about maybe coming back and doing a special nighttime Facebook Live session to show some of the lighting being put in place, because lighting can really make a big difference with the plants. And of course, we'll do a showcase of everything when it's done. Keep following us. If you actually, there's a way you can follow this video itself, and anytime Water Use It Wisely has our live videos, you're going to be able to check in. Oh, we have a question.
Rob asked again,
Another
where
question
can
from
he find
Rob.
the watering guide?
Oh, awesome. Yeah, come to wateruseitwisely.com. There are tons of resources there, including the watering guide, as well as interactives that can help you do some of the math that's in the watering guide as well. But thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me here.
Oh,
It was so
thank
much
you,
fun.
Warren, for being here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ewing, as well, for all the donations that helped us make this contest possible, helped us promote xeriscape, water-wise, and beautiful landscapes. It really makes a difference.
We are glad to do it.
Thank you. Okay, see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.